Hey guys, Gijoe here. I'm back, and I thought I'd go ahead and show you this tweaking of one of my customizations. And I have to give full credit to a friend of mine. His name is Tim. I mentioned him on a previous video, but Tim and I were in a Axis and Allies playing group up in St. Louis when I lived there, and of course after I moved away from St. Louis, anytime I'd go back and visit him and some of my other friends, we'd occasionally get together and play an Axis and Allies game. So he is now living in Florida, but he's not familiar with the global version of Axis and Allies, and so I was speaking with him on the phone the other day, and actually we were FaceTiming, and I was showing him all the customizations that I had, and he was blown away at what all could be done. And when he saw these flight stands, he was kind of freaking out over them, which I figured he would. I love them, and great job by War Torn and the guys over there at Cliffside Bunker. And all of a sudden he said, "Hey, what if you did this?" And so I have to give credit for Tim. So what I'm about to show you was actually his idea, and we just kind of went with it. So what we did was, if you notice, whenever you have chips under a plane, you typically have something like this, right? Okay? And, if you want to pick them up, you got to either pick them up all like this, move them like such, and so forth. And I think Sireblood even addressed this in one of his videos on flight stands. And in fact, I think he said that's probably one of the reasons he doesn't like flight stands, if I'm not mistaken. I don't want to really speak for him, but, anytime you pick up that and move it, you've got to come back and get the chips and move it there as well. So my friend Tim was like, "Hey man, why don't you just drill a hole in the middle of it, boom, and drop it on the post." So I did that, and this is what we have. How cool is this? So you just take this, put a couple chips on there, and boom, you've got a plane with chips. I did one on some reds as well. So I think that is cool. That is so cool, and it's actually a pretty simple process. So what I'll do is show you how I did it. And the disclaimer is I'm not an engineer, and so what I'm about to show you, I'm sure if anyone's interested in doing something like this, you could probably come up with a better, more efficient, more effective way. But this is just it's kind of a quick fix that I did, something I did very quickly, and it worked for me. So I'm gonna go into my shop and show you how it went down. Okay, so I don't have a drill press, so what I'm about to show you probably would be more effective with a drill press. In fact, I'm almost positive it would be, but I didn't want to have to buy a drill press to only do 20 or 30 of these chips. So what I did was I just took a block of wood, took some vices, and put that on, kind of clamped that down to my workbench. And then the post on this is about 1/8. Post is 1/8, and I think War Torn said this is 12 millimeters. So what I did was at first, I just kind of eyed this and free-handed it, and I just happened to luck out on my very, very first one. So I used a 1/8 drill bit, kind of held this down, and I drilled a little pilot hole in there. And then I got a 5/8 drill bit, and then I kind of opened it up a little bit more. And what that did is it allowed it to kind of easily, it's a little bit bigger than the post, so that allowed it to slide on there fairly easy. Now, I will say this, that when you do that, you're going to have to take a sand block or something like this, and there might be a little bit of residual plastic that kind of bends out. You might have to kind of sand down just a little bit so that the chips, when they stack, will stack and lay flat on them. So I did that, and I tested my first one like that, and so I was happy. And then I thought, okay, how do I mass produce this? And I was talking to my friend Tim, he's talking about, okay, we got to make a jig, and like, maybe we can do PVC pipe and all these kinds of things, and we may still do that. But I didn't have all these supplies, and I was like, you know what? I'm kind of anxious. I want to see what I can do with what I have right now. And I thought, for me to go and just kind of eye 20 to 30 chips, there's no way I'm going to get all this to line up. So what I did was, I would take a blank chip, like this one right here. I would put my template over the top because I was very happy with this. I would hold that down, and then I would use my 5/8 drill bit. Okay, I didn't experiment, and I did not use the 1/8 drill bit first. I could have, but I decided not to, just to save steps. And so I used the 5/8, drilled through it, and it worked. It lined up, it's locked, and from there I just kind of did 20 or 30 more. Now, in doing so, in full disclosure, I did crack a few. So I think this was like, I think 3 or maybe 4 chips kind of broke in half. And I simply just pushed down too hard and went, pushed down too hard and such. So what I found, if you do about 4 or 5 of them, you really don't have to push down too terribly hard. But you do need to hold this down hard right there. So, so that's how I made about 20 or 30 of them. So again, not the most probably effective process. In fact, if some of you have a great idea on how you could maybe slightly mass produce these, and mass produce in quotation marks, not that you need 500 of these, but you might want 30, 40 of these chips that are drilled in the middle so that you can use them. So anyways, let's head back to the board. Okay guys, back at the board now, and anyways, I hope you like this idea. It's nothing earth-shattering, and chances are there may have been somebody out there that's already thought of this and done this, but maybe they just didn't post it on YouTube yet. But and again, I have to give credit to my friend Tim down in Florida for this idea, and so I love it. In fact, up until now, I kind of like having, like, if there's 2 fighters in England, for instance, in the UK, I like to have actually 2 fighters on 2 different stands so that I can use them in different ways if I want to. But after coming up with this and getting this idea from Tim, it makes me kind of want to go back to using chips under with my fighter. So one thing I will say though before I go is that in doing this, you just need to make sure that this magnet right here is really, really lined up well with this post. Because if not, it might make it a little bit difficult getting that on. But anyways, hope you enjoy, guys. And if you have any suggestions on how to make a jig for this, to do some, like I said, mass production, please comment below. Thanks.